So, mate, I wanted to throw a few ideas at you for potential titles for this video, okay?
Okay.
Adrien Brody, how he went from King Kong to Mutant Dong. How do you solve a problem like Splice, Tom?
Honestly, I've been thinking about that since I watched it, which was literally 2 hours ago. And I think the main thing that I've come away with here is that what the fuck is Splice trying to tell us?
I think the moral of the story is don't let Adrien Brody anywhere near an aquarium. So we know that there's Fred, there's Ginger, and then there is Elsa, right?
Yeah.
So you could say it's once Splice, 3 times a lady, couldn't you? You could say that.
It's going to be really hard not to talk about that one scene and the ramifications of that one scene for this entire chat, because that whole movie just becomes about one thing.
I think it's not fair that, you know, how are you supposed to resist those dance moves? Do you know what I mean? I mean, look, we're all human. As far as Dren's concerned, that's the best dancing she's ever seen in her whole life. So it's fortunate for Adrien Brody that she's never seen a single fucking person dance before. Can I just quickly bring up as well the bit where they're struggling to come up with ideas and they're listening to some like crunky fucking shit on the radio. So Brody's like, nah, fuck this, man. This fucking fascist music, bro. It's like bringing me down. He puts on a bit of smooth jazz and then seconds later, eureka moment.
It's bizarre as well, because if there's anything comes to mind about like fascist stuff, it wouldn't be some sort of underground German techno. But what did they make? Okay, because Ginger and Fred are these weird slug things, right?
Yes.
Never in the film, right, do they break down exactly what they're splicing together. So when Dren is born, it starts off pretty similarly to Ginger and Fred.
She puts her hand in, and it's that classic, like, oh, something's biting me, but you can't see it thing. Mm-hmm. Brody dives in with a knife and cuts open the amniotic sac.
Yeah.
And all this weird fucking black gloops just spills out everywhere, all over the knife. Then he puts the knife directly into his mouth. Did you notice that?
I saw that, yeah, and thought that was, wow, as biochemists, you've just shoved a gloopy, gross knife into your mouth.
I thought at the time that would be the weirdest thing I would see Adrien Brody do in the film. But little did I know.
So what have we got? We've got human, scorpion, wasp, dog penis. Then we've got clearly what is a bat, that ultimately she finds out she has wings.
Oh, just to confuse it a bit more, when she's in the early stages, she looked like a chicken drumstick covered in barbecue sauce. And I remember thinking at the time, if there's one thing I know about Adrien Brody is that he loves a good fucking chicken drumstick, mate.
And I love that it just kind of works out as well. There's not really any complications other than the odd scene where the heart rate just diminishes and it dies like twice, 3 separate times throughout Dren's lifespan. Maybe, I'm not sure. But there are no complications to being like, oh, hold on my computer, let's put on some jazz music. Now let me turn on my computer and then bleep, blop, blop, blop. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. It's a success. It's like that scene from Endgame where Tony Stark is just like, wait a second. There it is. And it's just like, you don't need that. You don't need to explain the science at all. And that's the funny thing about going from Contagion to Splice. We've gone from a very educated look at how a virus might spread to a film where they're just like, fuck the science, don't worry about it. It's more about mothering and how deplorable the human race is.
I never thought I'd be nostalgic for Contagion a week later, but I was just thinking at the time, I had like, whilst Adrien Brody's like swinging around on a fucking swivel chair, typing stuff into a computer with like rock music playing in the background, I was like, oh mate, bring back Lawrence Fishburne talking in a room for 3 hours, please.
If you were to say to anyone, oh dude, have you seen Splice? Adrien Brody fucks his alien scientific experiment. You go, oh dude, that sounds hilarious. I'm going to put that in the same category as stupid other B horror films. But then when you do, and you sit through it, you watch it, you're sat there just like, this isn't funny. Is there one comedic moment in this movie as well? An intended, thought out comedic moment?
When they lose Dren briefly in the forest, they run after her and they find her and she's facing away from the camera and they're like, oh shit, is she hurt? And then Dren turns around and she's got like a face covered in blood And then she smiles. They're like, oh, who else but Dren? Oh, Dren, you little shit.
It's a really intense moment. You have Dren turning around, and it's supposed to be a classic horror moment. You got Dren turning around, blood dripping from this alien experiment that they've created, and you've got Elsa just looking at it. I'm like, oh god, this is awful. This shouldn't have happened. Oh, I blame myself. I'm a terrible mother. And then you got Brody. She's like, ugh.
At one point, she's comforting a cat. In the next scene, she's murdering said cat. 1 minute she hates Elsa, and then it's revealed that actually no, she was drawing Elsa the whole time.
Here's my theory about those drawings, though. I think Brody quickly drew them after she walked in on them having sex. She was like, oh shit, like, if she had her own drawings, maybe.
After you suggested this film to me the other day, I thought it's really important for me to write down all of Brody's dialogue during that scene. So do you want me to just read it out verbatim to you?
Yes, please.
No. You can't do that. You shouldn't really do that. As he strokes her bald head, I should add. I'm assuming you remember King Kong quite well. There's a scene in that, the standout scene of the whole film, where they fall into like a crevice in the ground, and they are surrounded by all of these fucking terrifying insects. And the last thing you see is a slug attached to Andy Serkis's head, and the dude's still waving the fucking machete around, but the creature's fucking digesting him at the same time. I was thinking maybe that was the moment where Adrien Brody looked at that and thought, one day I'm gonna fuck one of those.
Give me 30 seconds max of these things.